Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
He's Paul. Every time I think I'm going to point the right way this week, and I never do. I could practice, but that would take all the fun out of it. How is it going, Paul? Are you doing well? Are you excited to be not cruel or mean, but possibly have tinges of jealousy at how much big movie stars make by doing ad campaigns?
Yes. I am jealous. Of course I'm jealous.
Yeah, we're all jealous. But I said it to get it out of the way, folks, because tonight's topic is nothing to do with jealousy. Nothing to do with jealousy at all, but it is to do with movie stars, TV stars, people in the entertainment industry take money from advertisers and do advertising campaigns. There is nothing inherently wrong with that. But can it affect how you view those people? If somebody does an awful lot of advertising, do you feel that you start seeing them as a salesperson? Or the next time you go and see a movie with them in it, do you think of them as the person that sells those vacuum cleaners or whatever it might be, more than the person who's saving everybody from the burning building?
Yeah, like is it essentially the like does it take away from the actor's ability to essentially embody the character when you're just like, yeah, I saw them like 2 seconds ago selling coffee, kind of thing, or
Yeah.
one of the other multiple of things. The interesting thing about this topic was that Patrick suggested it, and we've been kind of mulling over kind of when we should start. We should show it. But I went down a rabbit hole of kind of how many how many celebrities actually do advertisements,
Yeah.
and realized like two things. One, I'm really lucky that I don't have a TV anymore. Like, as in, like, I mostly do streaming kind of stuff or watch streaming stuff.
Yeah.
And two, America must be like, this is worse for the Americans.
And the Japanese. But yes, the American and
Yes,
Japanese,
yeah.
it would appear, yeah, from Hollywood people shoving and shilling stuff.
Yeah, like it's an industry on its own.
It really is, and like one of the people we're going to talk about is one of the leaders in that industry. But Paul, there have been one of my great heroes, Bill Hicks, once said that once you do any advertising, that's as an artist, and he was more talking about musicians. It's like you're taken off the artist register. That's it. You're no longer an artist. I think he probably would have softened had he lived long enough to see Willie Nelson selling stuff, because Willie Nelson, I think, is a good example of somebody who had their money stolen by somebody who works with them, and then did a lot of things because they needed money to pay tax bills and all sorts of other stuff. Nobody out there is going to say Willie Nelson's not an artist, or is just a shill for things or anything like that. I picked him specifically because I think most people are not going to be mad at him. There's probably a reason on the internet to be mad at him. I just haven't seen it, so sorry if it turns out that he, I don't know, was mean to ducks or something once and I didn't hear about it. But point being, the idea comes up an awful lot in music to say that once you do ads, or even in stand-up and things like that, once you do advertising, you're selling out, man. You're giving up a bit of your artistic soul. It's always been a lot more acceptable in the movie and TV realm, but you still do get a little bit of that kind of stuck to you sometimes, I think, as if you're the movie person going off. And in fact, so much so that movies have been made where entire sections of it are making jokes about that. Like Lost in Translation, Bill Murray's great whiskey salesman, or whiskey advertising, is iconic for a reason, but there's a bit of an inside joke to all that too.
Yeah, there's also like the product placement jokes in Wayne's World. Like that's very good kind of thing, which we talked about I think before in another video, so go check that out. But yeah, no, it's an absolute, it's an like yeah. Bill Hicks saying that you kind of get painted with a different brush when you're a creative that's kind of taking money. But I also find it interesting that there is some, and especially also if you're a stand-up, that is also cultural as well, because there's a lot of voiceovers in Europe done by stand-up comedians, like, and no one says anything. No one's kind of bats an eyelid or anything like that. You're kind of just like, oh, that's Dara Breen, or Jimmy Carr or like a host of other kind of people that do voiceovers or on them. But yeah, America's a bit of a different one with specifically musicians and stand-up comedians. They're just like, you're just doing it for the money kind of thing. You're not doing it anymore for you're kind of going against the grain of kind of like you're meant to be showing a mirror up to society and now you're kind of joining society.
It's something I hadn't thought of till you just said it. And this is, again, I say this once a month. I love doing a podcast with Paul because he'll always say something live on air that we haven't talked about or thought about. It is crazy when you consider that doing voiceover for advertising is never viewed the same way as being a face on a poster or being, the L'Oreal ad on screen telling you that this will give you extra bounce or shine in your hair. But yeah, the amount of people who've lent their voices to advertising probably dwarfs all visual advertising media by the actual A-list elite.
Yeah, like it's just an interesting comparison that once you kind of do a voiceover, it's kind of like it's in the gray area of kind of like the sellout kind of thing, I guess. And also to go against what we're saying, it is one of the only ways that you can advertise without essentially devaluing your brand kind of thing, because you're not visually seen or noticed, because there's like several times where people I know who've gone, I know that voice, and I've gone, well, that's Ryan Reynolds or something, like the voiceover thing. So like, yeah, you kind of get away with it, whereas I think actual visual advertisements, I think that's the thing that we're kind of, does that really devalue your brand, especially when you're embodying a character or something? Or as you said, a musician on stage, does that also kind of, like if Rage Against the Machine were like, advertisement car insurance or something like that, would like, I won't do what you tell me. I'm trying to be good. I'm really trying to be good.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, well, I won't do what you tell me. Which is, does that devalues their whole brand kind of thing if they're doing car insurance or something like that? So like, yeah, it's an interesting.
And there is the other side of it. It's whether or not, you can do advertising and people maybe won't give you a hard time. But if you do something that is against what is seen as your brand or your thing, which is much more associated with the likes of stand-up or musicians than it is with actors, because actors tend to, the whole part of their profession is they're supposed to take somebody else's character on and portray it on screen. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Now, Paul, I'm gonna, just before we jump into the thing that made me think of this, can we just check the comments real quick, because I can see they're flooding in and I know they're going to be good. I'll start with, we've got a couple of hellos there. Hey Pop, hey Brew. Brew says, in a nutshell, 20 years ago I would have been annoyed. Rich people getting richer. Now I don't care what artists do in their personal lives, just what they do with their art. Well, I know that's true because I had arguments with that very commenter 20 years ago about the idea that it was nothing to do with anybody except the art that comes out of the artist. So yeah, Brew, I know exactly where you're coming from. And like in the current music, another comment, in the current music industry, I have no problem with new and upcoming artists making some money and getting promotion can be the only way to make a living. Look, there are people, and it cannot be forgotten here, it's very easy for us to say, oh, well, if I was a famous musician or a famous film star, I'd never do advertising. But that's if you're financially stable. And sometimes people look rich when they're not. Or, you have the hottest single in the world or the hottest album, but you're making no money off it, or the biggest movie. We've done a whole episode about this. Mr. Hader, I can't remember if I don't want to call him Bill. John Hader, I think, from Napoleon Dynamite, made 14 grand, 12 grand.
Yeah,
Stifler made like enough to buy a Buick. I think he made like less than 20 grand for being the biggest part of American Pie. So
yeah, one of the most recognizable characters from it. Yeah, like that's the thing is, you can definitely seem and portray yourself as successful, but yet are still building up or suffering some kind of, I guess, investment or problem,
Which, Paul, is why I know, just like you, I do use keeps when I'm playing Raid Shadow Legends And whatever Raycon are my headphone of choice. I don't know what ads you've been getting on YouTube, but
or Genshin Impact.
Yeah, I've got more Keeps stuff running around my head that I'm starting to believe I need to get Keeps. I'm not losing my hair that I know of, but they're starting to convince me I might be. So yeah, the advertising's starting to work.
Have you got that dad bod t-shirt one? Because I got that one, and I was just like, that's been the biggest motivation for me to try get fit again. Has been like, hey, buy this dad bod t-shirt that won't make you look like you have a dad bod. And I was like, I need to go to the gym. Like, if this is
personally, I want to know who is manscaping how often that they need an arsenal of stuff. Buy a weed whacker and get into it if it's that bad. Otherwise, you don't need 17 tools to take care of stuff like that. But we've just digressed. Paul, do you want to pick up on, I think it's pop culture was up next in the comments.
I like how John Mayer does ads he usually truly loves and talks about in his real life, and not just ads. So you can get the idea he actually uses it. There is that side of things, which is either that the celebrity person actually enjoys the product a lot, so they've maybe reached out to the product owners or brand or something to be just like, hey, listen, I really like your stuff and I want to get it out more to the people, why don't we collaborate and stuff like that. Or it's also owned by the celebrity, which we'll talk about, one of them who seems to be prolific about their kind of investments kind of thing. So yeah, it's nice to see them possibly actually using the product that they're trying to sell, which is nice because it does build trust, I guess, with the audience kind of thing. Bruce says in the UK, voiceover ads are almost all UK comedians. Yeah. As I said, the voiceover seems to be the kind of safe harbor of advertisement. As for actors, I just see it as a paid job. They are actors to sell products. Who cares if the movie or is a movie or is watched? They are never selling themselves.
And you know what? I think that's a really interesting comment for one major reason, Paul. Actors are the ones that should be doing visual advertising, because essentially it is a short script. Usually, you're supposed to be acting. Are you really acting as yourself? You're lending your likeness and people's impression of who you are, but people's impression of who you are may not be the character you are in real life. So you might be playing a character. Or in cases like, do you remember the old BMW adverts? Before YouTube, before anything else, BMW made a series of short films that were being shared all over the internet, and Clive Owen actually became more famous because of them, because he was in the best one.
Yeah,
they were selling, like, they were shilling BMW at a higher artistic level. They were making mini movies, but it's not like, they weren't pushing the logo and the abilities of the ultimate driving machine in all of their movies, or how cool or stylish or whatever the theme might have been. But it was an acting gig.
I guess then is the difference in it that we need to split this into kind of like, I guess, product placement, advertisement, or advertisement, because like I feel like the BMW short movies could possibly be deemed as kind of targeted product, like extreme product placement kind of thing, where they were just like
they were the only product placed in their own thing.
Yeah, like it's really kind of like, it's really stretching the product placement kind of thing.
It is the end of the evolution of product placement. Absolutely. It's like, can Sony Ericsson get themselves into every James Bond movie for a while? Yes. But then does Sony Ericsson just make very short Bond style vignettes? That would be, because Hollywood, don't hear this one, because the advertising agencies will now be going, he's right. Well, we don't need to product place in movies anymore. We'll just make our own short movies that are all secretly just ads.
Well, that's kind of like the Rolex ad with Daniel Craig as very Bond, heavily suggested as Bond.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they're already doing that, and it's like, it is a level of which, because every perfume ads are just a completely different like kettle of fish, because they're like, there's and chewing gum ads back in the 90s. Do you remember the Wrigley's ad?
Yes.
The one with the coach and stuff like that. Like, man, that was weird. Anyway,
Um,
But it's like like is it more okay to do advertisements that would suggest more on the case of brands of product placement than they would be kind of very clearly selling the item kind of thing? Because that's a thin line of kind of like, I guess they're because Daniel Craig is playing, heavily suggesting playing James Bond in a kind of Rolex ad.
and a Heineken ad where he also did the Bond thing. Yeah.
Yeah, is it more okay because he's particularly playing a character that he is playing, or is it less okay that it's Daniel Craig selling perfume or aftershave or something like that? That it's just like, hi, I'm Daniel Craig and I'm selling,
Yeah.
because there's a person who blurs the line for that particular thing.
And again, and I'm going to try and steer us back in between them, because this can get very wide very quick. When it comes to actors themselves, I'm going to state it just for me, Paul. You can say yay or nay if you agree. I have no problem with anybody getting paid. I have no problem with anybody taking on, a campaign, advertising campaign, or one-off for a voiceover or whatever. That's all their business. Much like Brew pointed out earlier on, it's when they're making their art, that's when I'll be partaking in their artistic life. When their business life has to be their business life, go do it. I don't think it sells you out. Unless you start supporting some really crazy things, like, going on and doing advertisement for, we'd like all the water to be taken away from everybody except for these 6 rich people or something weird, then I'd be like, maybe I don't agree with The Rock anymore. The Rock is one of the 6 chosen to have water when we all go into the Mad Max Oasis desert. So Paul, I'm going to kick into what brought this up, if that's okay, because we're a bit of the way in. Whoops, and I have got to turn something off my screen. Right. It was a Julia Roberts and George Clooney movie that I saw a trailer for called Ticket to Paradise. Thing is, I wasn't paying attention when this movie trailer came up. And there's the funny thing about that. Because I wasn't paying attention, it opened, and I'm actually just going to play a very short snippet of it right now, Paul.
I'm sorry. I think your things are in my seat.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, come on.
You've got to be kidding me.
Excuse me, ma'am.
The way George Clooney and Julia Roberts kind of looked and sounded in it, at 50% attention, I swear to, I'm not messing around. I was like, what's this an ad for? I hadn't realized I was watching a movie trailer because it had played into a loop, in my peripheral. I was, wow, okay, so I think my brain went, is it an espresso perfume? What is this? Now, I'm not saying that I don't like Julia Roberts or George Clooney. I actually happen to think that they're both great. Very particularly, I think someday we'll do an episode on why anybody who doesn't realize how good George Clooney is needs to be told. And if you agree, that's great. If you don't, it'll be an excellent episode because you'll be the one I'm trying to convince, Paul. But I think they're both great. But really, because I'm so conditioned here with their advertising, they are in poster ads, in real full motion video ads. I do subconsciously now, possibly when I see them, unless I'm concentrating, not think of what movie is that, but what ad is this? And it struck me as weird.
Well, that's definitely, like what you were stating earlier, that you don't begrudge anyone who's kind of working and stuff like that. I don't either, but I do find that it does devalue them, as in not as a person or anything like that. It's just that, I guess I get kind of like, if you get oversaturated by the person in situations in which, because you're not going to the movies, you're not possibly going to the movies every single day. You're not watching a movie every single day. You could be possibly watching short clips on YouTube or anywhere kind of thing, and there's advertisements kind of put in. So you're watching advertisements a lot. And like getting saturated for seeing George Clooney, like, drink an espresso like every couple of days, and then you try to watch a movie with him in it, and the second he sits down, you're just like, is he going to turn to the screen and be just like, my best espresso is, kind of thing. It does, like, to me, it does. I am very lucky that I've switched over away as much as possible from advertisements, but like, it does to me devalue kind of them accepting, like, the second that they do something that they've done in an ad,
I get you.
and that they've done repeatedly in an ad, the second that they do that in a movie as a character, I'm just like, is this the espresso ad kind of part to it? Are they gonna, you know, kind of thing? And it pulls me out of the movie, where I'm just like, oh yeah, I am watching an actor, kind of thing, which is bad for me.
Well, like, for example, in Red Notice, when both Ryan Reynolds had his aviation gin show up, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson had his, I think his is a tequila.
Yeah.
Which they did kind of nudge, wink, wink, nod at the camera. But, like, I haven't experienced it where I've actually been watching a movie and had, you know, let's say George Clooney sit down and pick up a coffee and me go, oh, phew. I haven't experienced that yet, but this was one of those things where I was watching a conglomerate of a whole load of trailers, and you know the way ads get split into YouTube videos. Well, my brain, instead of thinking next trailer, thought, ad break, annoyance, and that's terrible because like I say, I love George Clooney, but I couldn't help it. It wasn't a conscious thought. It was a subconscious thought. So does it affect me when I'm watching a George Clooney movie? No. Watched one last week. Didn't think about it twice. Also, by the way, I'm never going to watch that Ticket to Paradise thing, because if you've seen the trailer, it's like another bad version of Mamma Mia or something. What I watched was Up in the Air. The George Clooney, Anna Kendrick, Vera Farmiga film from about... Oh, God, long time ago. In fact, we should do a rapid review on that because everybody's forgotten it. And it's really quite good. Have you seen that?
I don't know. I may have seen it.
You should check it out.
If it's an Anna Kendrick film, I think I feel like I should have. But
it was her first, I believe, and she was nominated for a whole lot of things because she took the transition from stage to screen in that. And by God, she's great. Holds her own in some serious company. Yeah, a little bit of a tangent there, but my mentioning of Red Notice, Paul, brings up, can it affect? So we don't hold it against people, but can it affect their career? And Ryan Reynolds is a great example, I think, of somebody whose career has not hurt at all and has probably helped, because good old Ryan, you know, I have a huge crush on him, partially because of Deadpool, but also because he just comes across as such a funny and likable guy. But is that really who Ryan Reynolds is?
I don't know. Maybe he, you know, kicks sentient rocks. I don't know. You know, like Ryan Reynolds is one of those kind of interesting things, which, because we've mentioned essentially, we've hidden to, or kind of pointed towards him and or suggested in him that he's a little bit of the gray area kind of, or the little kind of the line kind of thing, where he's able to advertise a lot because he has his Mint mobile aviation gin. He's now part owner
Wrexham.
of Wrexham United, which, because I'm sure that there's several other advertisements that he's done that was like of his kind of stuff, but he's probably done several advertisements of loads of other kind of I know he's done some aftershave kind of stuff as well. But I think because of this is interesting. I think because of Deadpool being so fourth wall breaky, and it's really kind of like bled into him being kind of allowed to break the fourth wall in being an advertisement, because it's just essentially Ryan Reynolds / Deadpool in advertisements, and you're kind of fine. And like, also, if you don't know the marketing campaign of Deadpool, like, go check some of the best stuff out, because like that is one of the best marketing campaigns for a movie ever, and it really made Ryan Reynolds kind of just be able to do anything.
Well, you know, he didn't buy aviation gin out of nowhere. That's the thing. Ryan Reynolds is one of those folks that advertising was not only what got Deadpool off the ground, but ended up having him and another partner of his create an advertising, essentially a marketing agency that, you know, they learned and used and did so much to get things like Deadpool to happen. And obviously Ryan Reynolds is a, you know, international superstar, so he was a perfect face for a lot of things. But they sold that company I believe, or at least he sold out of it to get money for aviation gin. He's rolled aviation gin on. Like, he's a businessman. You know, I think his profile now says, if you go to it, it's like businessman and part-time actor, and I think that's a fairly accurate description. But it's because he was able to say, work with our agency, and you might even get me doing your ads. And I have obviously such a great connection with people on an honest level that people are like, that's Ryan Reynolds. He's just like a lot of the characters he plays. Therefore, Ryan Reynolds is not a making it up actor. Like Free Guy, people think of him as a version of Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. I think he's a better actor than that, if you know what I mean, because there are lots of other movies that people just don't watch where that's not the case. You know, he was Buried. There was the one where he's...
great.
It is. It really is. The one where he is killing people and talking to the head that he's cut off in the fridge that nobody watched, which I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
But he's not playing, you know, he's not playing the Van Wilder Ryan Reynolds that was the lovely, cheeky person that we all fell in love with. So he can do both, but his bigger hits in the public consciousness is, I'm going to see Ryan Reynolds in a movie. I'm not just going to see a Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah.
So he is not negatively affected by advertising at all, I think. No. If anything, it helps.
Business of it. Yeah, he's built a business around it, like very much so. Shall we go into talking about advertisements? Should we go into our own advertisements?
We certainly will, Paul. We will see you after these fine messages. You obviously are like two people talking about movies, or you wouldn't even be seeing this ad. Well, don't tell anyone. But Hear Us Out isn't the only choice. You should check out our friends over at It Takes Two podcast. It's a podcast where two people take two films with the same plot or premise, watch and discuss them. Films like Gremlins and Critters, or The Truman Show on EdTV. Connection until you realise that they can be described in the same way. They launch new episodes every second Tuesday, or Monday if you're in New Zealand. Find them on your favourite podcast service, or check the link in our description down below. That's It Takes Two podcast. Tell them Hear Us Out sent you. And Paul, during the ad break, what did you find out?
Oh, the film about with Ryan Reynolds with the cutting off the head and talking to it. It's called Voices.
Thank you.
Just yeah. So,
thank you for doing that. So Paul, will we do a quick check, because there's somebody that I think might have been hurt more by advertising and is absolutely a massive part of it. But will we do a quick look at the comments?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Where were we? I think we'd covered. Pop had mentioned John Mayer and actors. So Brew had mentioned then Johnny Rotten advertising butter, punk rock.
Didn't he also do a puppet? Wasn't there a puppet of like a musician?
Oh, possibly.
Who sold something? I know Brew will probably shout it at us in a second.
Brew, you're the music man. Decipher and tell us.
Ray-Bans had the deal with Men in Black movies, not the actors, but people brought them because Will Smith in movie. Yeah, well, that's product placement. Like that's kind of, we understand that there's like contracts to do advertisement, kind of marketing the movie as well as marketing a product kind of thing. Like it's more kind of free choice, I guess, advertisement.
Yeah,
it's kind of more because like if you're playing J or K in an advertisement thing, once again it's like the James Bond thing that we've talked about before.
And it's almost ancillary advertising for the movie or the franchise itself at that point too, when you're playing the character in the ad.
Because like it's short movies of Marvel, the shorts. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of advertisement kind of things in there, like the first one, the Journey to New Mexico with Coulson. They clearly show the car. Now I can't remember the car.
It was an Acura. Yeah. Acura owned all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they clearly showed the car kind of thing. So like there is, like, once again, I only learned that specifically because of this story that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Well, we should do, if and let us know in the comments if you'd like a fun bash around and deep dive into product placement, because that's the whole other end of advertising and how movies rely so heavily on it, and how sometimes it's done well and sometimes it's done really in your face. Like anytime somebody needs to show Dell or Oracle, I think it was it Dell, or I think Oracle might have been the ones to work on the Transformers movies, where there were just some weird lingering shots where they were like, look, we've got a rack behind us and Oracle's written all over it, which is really kind of sad.
Dell is also like Dell and like any laptop provider like Apple or anything like that are very clear that when you open it, you have to make it open towards the camera. You know.
Yeah. It's. We might well do an episode on that before the year's out. Anything more in the comments?
Some of the movies' contracts come with ad average contracts. Yeah, I get that. I feel the same way with Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, he's a bit of a he's a bit of a license to break the fourth wall. Anytime I see J.K. Simmons, I think of the Allstate commercial, and that does draw me out. Like, it's hard to watch Whiplash because of it. Those commercials are overplayed. Yeah, see, that's the other thing, is how much are the advertisements actually played.
Yeah, Allstate, because just for all of our American listeners, we don't have Allstate as an insurer here. I'm sure we have them renamed as something else, but they don't use those ads. And I've watched, and I've spent enough time in America to watch enough TV to see the representatives of a lot of different companies. I believe Allstate is the company that used to have the guy that was, I think he was the president in 24. I can't remember the actor's name. But I do remember watching just like an hour of TV and seeing an ad with this guy in it so often that I was like, how could you ever see him as anybody else but the guy with the great voice selling you insurance? But we didn't get it over here, so it didn't affect us.
Like, yeah, that's the... Yeah, like, once again, it's I think America gets probably a lot more celebrity advertisements kind of things.
Yeah,
but,
and a lot more advertisements on their TV. You have way more ad breaks than we do, guys.
Yeah, like that's another thing. And also if they're specifically celebrity targeted, as in they're targeting you with celebrity ads a lot more than they would be us.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, one of the interesting things I when I did look up this as well is the amount of like celebrities who've done kind of advertisements that I didn't really understand or didn't really guess that they would. Like, John Cheater has done a bunch of advertisements. Obviously Matthew McConaughey has done one with the Cadillac, was it, or what was
Lincoln?
The famous Lincoln.
Yeah.
But Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart is the comedian Kevin Hart.
Well, yeah, Kevin Hart. He's stand-up and actor, which was an interesting one to me because, like, is he so big now as a stand-up comedian that he's like able to do it, or does he care?
I think he's very famous in the States compared to how he is here. Excuse me, hiccuping. What's he? Do you know what he's advertising? Because I haven't seen him do anything else.
No, I need to find out, but I do know that I think he's in with Serena Williams, like, as well, kind of thing. But I'm guessing the kind of Kevin Hart probably, he's very funny, but he's probably kind of playing the kind of, I guess, cheeky kind of extra person. But like Brad Pitt is another surprise that I definitely. Brad Pitt feels like it's money, kind of things. Especially recently.
Well,
nothing wrong with him or anything. Just it.
And don't forget that foreign advertising market where all the people that don't want to seem like they did advertising go and get their weekend in Tokyo and make a ton of money and have billboards that we'll never see. Because again, I think Brad Pitt has advertised an awful lot in the East, an awful lot more than people realize. I think he was one of the people when I was looking a lot of this up to see who were the big hitters over there. I think he was on that list.
Because we got Kevin Bacon quite a lot as well.
Kevin Bacon seems to be international. I don't know if he's ever not done an ad campaign because he's all over, like, UK and Ireland as well for mobile phone companies and stuff.
Yeah, which was interesting enough because he's like, because he's a fairly big name, and it was just interesting to see that his kind of like, yeah, it was a weird one to see Kevin Bacon do it. It was really nice because he's like very charming, kind of thing. But it was also one of those kind of like, is Kevin Bacon not doing well? That was my other thought about that. Which is
It's terrible that runs through our minds when we see people doing ads that we don't expect, going, I wonder, are they okay? And then you start Googling, did manager steal money?
Yeah. At least, yeah,
tax
at
bill.
Yeah, kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's just a surprise because when I saw him then because he was doing the mobile stuff, then I saw him in RIBD, the Rest in Peace Department film with Ryan Reynolds, and once again it did feel, because he talks on a phone at some point, and I was just like, am I going to see an advertisement to do with Kevin Bacon on the phone and the kind of link with RIBD, kind of thing?
Yeah.
That film didn't do well enough to probably allow that to happen, but it was, my thought was still there, kind of thing, which is bad. It takes me out of the movie a little bit when I just see them doing. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
If they're doing an action, that if they're doing a specific kind of, I guess, action that they do in a lot of advertisements, would that take you out?
Well, that's why I want to slickly transition to the queen of advertising and the queen of campaigns, Jennifer Aniston. Because good old Jen Aniston became famous, obviously, for the Leprechaun movie, and then went on to do a little known TV show called Friends that was the biggest thing on the planet, like the biggest thing, absolutely. She was TV famous at a time when TV and movies were still separated, but there were plenty of precedents set and plenty of people who had been super huge on TV, and then they would transition to movie stardom. She was primed for proper movie stardom, but I think what she ended up with was super famous person, and here's one of the reasons why. It's her hair and L'Oreal. It took on a mind of its own. I do not think any less of her. In fact, I think she is a heck of a better actress than people realize. If you ever want to work out what I'm talking about, watch Office Space. Actually, just watch Office Space anyway. But she did not get offered the "you're going to be a movie star" roles. She got offered the "you're the person with the great hair" spokesperson level movies. And she broke out of that a bit, but she never quite did. She was more famous outside of her acting career then because of things with Brad Pitt and eventually Angelina Jolie and all sorts of stuff. But I think, and Paul, I'm going to be cheeky again. I'm going to play two things that you can't hear, but you'll get them on the afters. That kind of sum it up for me. She became the science bit lady.
Here comes the science bit. Concentrate. For me, Elnet is the finest spray you can find. Here comes the science.
Which I've just played just a couple of sections. If anybody doesn't remember seeing these ads, then they're maybe just a little bit younger. But she was doing ads for hair product, and one of the little catchphrases ended up being, "Oh, here comes the science bit," and it in itself became part of the campaign, became part of the joke, became part of the joke with and about her, and I don't think it actually helped her long term. I think Jennifer Aniston, when we look back, why isn't she as big a movie actress as Julia Roberts or anybody else? I didn't have a good answer until this, and now I think after looking back through it all, kind of going, she actually became a spokesperson in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, and I do agree that whole famous person, like famous celebrity, rather than kind of it being fully connected with a body of work kind of thing. I do agree there. And it feels, and that's a combination of, her spokesperson advertisement thing, and then probably the gossip mill.
Yeah.
And also probably took off with her.
She was perfectly timed for the internet to ruin her life as well.
Yeah. I would say that the gossip mill from the internet probably definitely kind of put her in the place of babes. Now, as you said, she's crawled back quite a bit on kind of really funny, really good stuff. Like, I actually really like her in which is the what is it the comedy about the family going across the with the RV.
Oh, she did
Millers.
the Lampoon's Vacation kind of redo.
Yeah, it's like the Millers or something like
Yeah,
that. But that
We're the
was
Millers.
yeah, that was very good. She was very very funny in that kind of thing, and that like showed her kind of like comedic kind of chops.
But she's great in everything, though. You know, Horrible Bosses. She's always really good. And when people go, "Oh, Jennifer Aniston," she's just, you know, she's it's Friends or Hair or whatever. I'm like, well, when's she been bad? Okay, a couple of the early roles she got were just romantic comedy flat leads, but was she even bad? Probably not.
Probably more writing than
Exactly.
But yeah, like it's a kind of it's I wonder how many other people can not claim that kind of, I guess, who have been claimed by that position.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, as in that they became quite well known, they became the hot topic of the year or the decade or whatever. And then they get saturated into advertisements, and that kind of breaks their career in acting, and they're like, no way am I begrudging her or anyone else who's gone down this route kind of thing. You know, they're making money to be able to do this, and they become that kind of famous name. But like, how many movies are we missing that Jennifer Aniston is that, like, what's the alternative universe where Jennifer Aniston is literally the movie icon that we believe that she could have been, even more than she is now.
Exactly. And you know, there's the various shampoos and skincares and all the rest, and then all the way up to, like, if you look her up, anybody who doesn't realize just how far into promotional advertising, still and video, she's minted, and quite properly so. She has a likable air about her, perfect for advertising. She's very attractive. She does, as Bruce says, she does have nice hair. You know, everybody remembers, or anybody that's ever seen Friends remembers it relatively fondly, or at least some parts of it. And she is still, if you said, is she a movie star? Everybody in the street would say yes. But if you didn't ask them with her name in it and said, okay, name 10 famous, you know, female movie stars, she probably wouldn't come up. If I said name 10 famous women, she may actually come up quicker. If you said name somebody who's likely to win an Oscar, she's not going to come up. And it's because people haven't maybe actually bothered to watch the things that weren't, you know, more in the lane of what Jennifer Aniston should have been doing, let's say, as far as people were concerned. So I have a massive amount of respect for her. I say, get the money, enjoy your life. But between her and Ryan Reynolds, they're perfect bookends for the, it can really go well for you. He came along at the right time. If I was going to go back in time and warn famous people, I'd be like, don't hit it big around 95, 96, because the internet's going to destroy your life. What you want to do is wait until kind of the mid to late 2000s, start hitting it big then, and use the internet to make your life.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, can't say more. I'm wondering if there's I guess George Clooney would be he's not on the same level as it, but close enough to it. But yeah, no, it's an interesting. It's always been an interesting, like, Bruce Willis. Like, there's a couple of others. Jeff Goldblum, as well. Like,
good old Jeff.
Charlize Theron was probably the biggest one, because if it's not, now I would point out that if it's not perfume or aftershave, that's where I get surprised.
Right.
You know, because, like, definitely see Jeff. I don't actually say Jeff. I don't know why I went to Jeff Goldblum right there in my list. Charlize Theron doing, like, you know, Chanel No. 5. I'm definitely on board for that kind of.
Makes sense.
Definitely see that kind of thing. But if Charlize Theron is, like, you know, Hertz car rental, you know, it's gonna get you there. I'd be just like, what is going on here? Like, I would be very much kind of like,
it would be a strange choice, and it would telegraph the idea that maybe she's in trouble and needs money.
Well, not even just the kind of advertisement. Yes, it does cross my mind, but it's more the kind of, like, you know, what are you're definitely making, you know, money that you don't need to be going into that kind of level of advertisement.
And the weird thing, nothing against Hertz, it's the whole horses for courses thing here. It's you would just assume that she would be offered Chanel number 5 before a Hertz rental, and for her to have to, let's say, do the Hertz one, it'd be the same in reverse. You would very much not expect Jeff Goldblum to be doing the Chanel number 5. I'd love to see it though.
That would be a great. But there's like,
there's this. The smell. I can see that. Yeah, Jeff, do Chanel number 5 for us.
Oh, that would give the world a present.
Yeah.
So actually, Kevin Hart did Uber Eats. He did Uber Eats with a couple of other stand-up comedians and also other actors as well. Uber Eats, which is just, once again another surprising one that I don't know. Okay, I don't know if this is bad. Definitely, Uber Eats definitely feels like a more Adam Sandler. And it's not that Adam Sandler's I think it's just Big Daddy with all the you know what I mean?
I can sum up exactly what I think you mean. It's like he seems like the guy, because of the movies like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Big Daddy, all that kind of stuff, that would be ordering food. Like, he'd be the takeout guy. You'd understand him being a customer of it. Whereas Katy Perry, who does, I don't know if she does Uber Eats in America or if it's only Just Eat Here, which is another service kind of like Uber Eats. Katy Perry, I was like, oh, what happened to her that she's doing this? It doesn't track for me. And I know Snoop Dogg did it before her, but Snoop can do anything. There's a few, like Jeff Goldblum can kind of do anything he wants as well, but Snoop can do anything because he's essentially lending his cool to it. He could be doing nuclear armaments and being like, Snoop is going to sit by it and just say cool things and buy a rocket.
Yeah, I do agree. It's just a surprise in the kind of level of the amount,
And I just spotted the comment. I don't know if it was written at the same time as I said it or not, but Bruce just pointed out Snoop was Just Eat and Katy Perry. We don't have Just Eats in America Pop. Okay, cool. It's essentially Uber Eats or Postmates or what's the other thing that they have here in it? Deliveroo is another one.
Deliveroo, yeah.
But to kind of dive into the comments real quick, Friends on TV maybe didn't help. Friends being on repeat didn't help Jennifer Aniston. That's possibly true too. She really wasn't able to get distance between it, and it definitely didn't help people like David Schwimmer either. I think he was the other one to maybe suffer most. Courtney Cox, Scream made her into somebody that was considered. She could have had a movie career if she wanted to stay in it. She obviously made her Desperate Housewives money, or was whatever her show was. Was that Desperate Housewives? I
think so.
One of the ones that came after Ally McBeal. Was that Sex in the City? Who knows? Samuel L. Jackson does both very well. Oh, really? Samuel L. Jackson advertising stuff.
Yeah. No, I've seen him in a couple of advertisement things, but I also feel once again that it's like. Samuel Jackson seems like one of those other people who just gets away with it because they're more playing an aspect of their personality rather than an actual character. Him playing Mace Windu is literally just Samuel Jackson plays Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Pass me the lightsaber that says badass mother. I'm really trying to be good.
You're holding it back too. Yeah. We should just get the Fs out there. But it is the middle of the day for people in the States. So with all respect to all of you and all your kids and for anybody watching live, if you're watching the stream later on and it's in the middle of the day, that could apply too.
Just on the Friends thing, Matt Perry, he did really well with Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. That really broke him away from that. And also West Wing as well.
West Wing. And he had his movie run too. He did do his whole 9 yards, whole 10 yards. And a few other things. I think not to bring up the bad part of fame, but I think his substance abuse issues and stuff maybe held him back a little bit more. Matt LeBlanc was the first big breaker. Matt LeBlanc, for anybody who doesn't remember, Lost in Space. straight out of Friends into being he is going to be the movie star. Kind of didn't work out that way, but is that choice or was he being held back? I know that from an advertising point of view, none of them got even close to Jen Aniston. No. And to be fair, fame-wise, none of them are even in her league now, of all the 6 characters in Friends.
Yeah, no, out of the 6 characters, I was going to say, because obviously they had their guest stars kind of thing that really kind of, because Paul Rudd and Bruce Willis and plenty of other ones joined.
Can I throw it sideways for a minute, Paul, and just have fun with the last 5 minutes? Because I want to play a game, if you're up for it, that's just dropped into my head.
Okay, go for it.
Let's take it turns, just picking a product or a company, corporation or whatever, and the other person has to pick who they think, it's like, oh, that's a them commercial.
Oh, okay. I'm happy to go with this. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go with this.
Do you want to do product or do you want me to do one first? We've tried rock, paper, scissors live on air before and it just doesn't work with the delay.
I'll do. I've got a product one here that I'm really interested to see. Alexa.
Oh, okay, right. I can't say it actually. So the A person that's in my room.
Alexa, who advertised you?
See, headphones. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Who would be? And it's not just because we were just talking Friends, but somebody quirky and kind of out there like Elisa Kudrow, who's in the firmament of famous people for a long time. I could see her making a good, whimsical yet factual advertising spokesperson for Alexa.
I could definitely see where you're going with that. That does seem more kind of.
Who would you pick?
Well, I've got the
Oh, who did it?
I've got it. As in Michael B. Jordan, which is a surprise for me.
I think that was the Super Bowl ad though, and this is the thing: Super Bowl ads, it's prison rules. It's all out the window because Super Bowl ads is a different level of stuff, because it's a different level of money and also a different level of just getting your name in front or your likeness in front of so many people. Everybody wants to be in a Super Bowl ad. Paul, if we could get mentioned in the Super Bowl ad, we wouldn't need to ask people to like, share, and subscribe, which we forgot to do. Now it's done.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. No, I just find it interesting.
Okay,
Jordan did. But okay, yeah.
Then I'm going to throw one at you. Like mattress warehouse type places. Mattress. We've all the beds you'll ever need and more.
I would do a combo. If I can do a duet, I would have
for double beds.
Yeah, double beds. I would have CS. What is this? Oh God.
What are they in? And I'll have a swing.
They're actually in Step Brothers together.
Oh, John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly. I would do those. Like both of them together as mattress salesman.
Oh, nice. That's actually that could work. Well, Dodge had a whole thing that we didn't get here because we don't get Dodges here, with Burgundy, with Ron Burgundy being Ron Burgundy. And again, I think that was centered around the Super Bowl. And they're actually quite funny because there's a whole load of his ad-libbed outtakes out on YouTube. They really should have released all the video. It's hilarious stuff. Okay, Paul, pick a weird product or even a normal one.
I'm going to do air fryers.
Ricky Gervais, because air fryer for me, it's like you can't get somebody who's going to be too earnest or serious about it because it's an air fryer. You almost want him doing a Golden Globe thing where he's giving it like, we're here for the air fryer. It's an air fryer. It's a really, really good one. It's gonna make your kitchen better. But it's an air fryer. And I think he could be authentically mocking a product without sinking it.
Yeah, that's true. He would be more making fun of the audience member who doesn't have one.
That's possibly it too.
Like that's also
or even of himself for advertising it, but making it memorable enough that everybody remembers the 3 important points of what are good about air fryers, which I don't know what they are right now.
No oil. That's the only one I got.
Okay. So
Okay, so you choose-
I got to throw one. I kind of want to know who you think would be good for Hertz because it got mentioned earlier on. Who's
Brad
your
Pitt.
Brad Pitt in a genuine I'm Brad Pitt kind of way, and I use
Yeah.
Hertz because I travel around the world.
Yeah, definitely. No, like using his coolness kind of thing. Like on the same level as you want it on the same level as like the Lincoln ad with Matthew McConaughey. You know, you want it real nice, real classy, artistic kind of like Hertz car insurance or Hertz car rental.
Well,
You know.
if you've seen that Lincoln ad, you know that McConaughey went way too McConaughey into the spiritual experience of a Lincoln, which for an
much
upmarket Ford, I can honestly say we don't get them here. It would be laughed off TV if they'd done it here.
Oh my god! Well, it was because also then SNL did the Jim Carrey, which was a knockoff of it, which was just fantastic.
We've got like 2 minutes left, Paul. So can I ask other people to throw in a couple of products? Anybody in the live chat throw in a few. And Bruce says Woody Harrelson for Hertz. That's actually pretty good. That is pretty good. What about, like, we have an awful lot of ads for, there are a couple of big name supermarkets here who save you a lot of money. A couple of very famous German companies that have come in and are price minded, but yet still have all the fresh produce apparently. Their ads are on a lot. Who could you throw in front of that you know, it wouldn't seem, because it's very hard to say I'm going to get, you know, Martin Scorsese and you know, Christopher Walken to do a little ad or Lidl ad, however it's pronounced.
I would love to see, as in who would
you
I to
like? Who would you
direct
pick?
one, or
No, who would you
Bill
pick to be in
Hader.
it?
Bill Hader.
Very nice.
Bill Hader would be able to.
the
He'd be
everyman.
able to sell it. Yeah, he'd be able to sell anything as well. Like, especially if he was doing like what is the primetime kind of like murder one that he used to do.
Barry.
No, not Barry. No, sorry, not the TV show. He used to do on SNL. He used to do a skit where it was like taking the slagging one of those like, you know, murder
yeah.
commentary kind of shows.
Really? Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
kind of thing. I think in that kind of like that kind of tone as well could be really funny. I actually thought with your things, IKEA. Who would you have for IKEA? Because I got one in my head.
Well, for IKEA, my snap answer is Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, because there's somebody who seems like they're still connected and could actually be like, yeah, I put together some IKEA furniture at the weekend. I just happen to be a brilliant actress. Who do you have in your head?
Dave Bautista.
I see that, yeah.
I don't know why. The second that you were just like, there's some cheap kind of like shopping shops here in Ireland and Europe. I was just like, IKEA Dave Bautista would be really good.
Well, you know, and he wouldn't have hurt his back lugging the last bit of IKEA that I did here. We've got a couple of comments in. So Woody Harrelson for Hertz. What about cell phone company? I don't know if you have the same like America, like Verizon. Yes, we do. We have Vodafone, which is that the version of Verizon we have here. I don't know which companies are mislabeled or labeled as what where, but we essentially have a bunch of them too. The people who do those ads here, I'm not even sure who they are. But if you were to get A-listers,
I would get Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn is Verizon.
Very nice. Very nice. I think I'd want to go left field and pick somebody who really doesn't suit it, like Charles Dance or something. You know, somebody who's like so far removed from the crud that is a mobile phone.
Jared Leto.
Oh God, Jared Leto would eat the damn thing on camera.
It was just so weird.
Yeah,
It was so weird.
which
I'll pay money for that.
Which means we can finish out on Bruce's comment of Christopher Walken doing any ad, please. I didn't bring my Christopher Walken with me tonight, Brew. You know that takes a couple of drinks, so there will be no Christopher Walken doing any ad. I was almost going up, but no, I'm not. Christopher Walken, I think, could do any ad though, because he could tell you to buy it.
I'd love to see him doing a mattress ad. It'd be so intense.
Yeah, him and Jeff Goldblum doing a mattress ad together. So mattress Mick with both the Goldblum and and the walking.
I feel like those two together doing a mattress ad would destroy the world.
It would certainly make my day. Paul, on that note, I think we should get out of here on our time slot. I'd like to thank everybody for everything. Like, share, subscribe. Check our links down below for other people that you need to check out. We haven't got time for shout-outs. We'll leave more room next week. I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been Here's Out.
See you next week.
We'll shill anything you want. Let us know what it is. Bye.
Yeah.